Good afternoon, good morning, good evening to folks in Liberia, and welcome to Focus on Liberia. Ansony Sieh, always, of course, be our politics. Do mean that use your favor, share the broadcast with your contact. The discussion about a country we all share must continue. We cannot give up, for giving up would be the worst thing to do in our lifetime. While we still have this life, which is a privilege and opportunity given to us, we must do all we can in our individual ways and powers to play our part to talk about Liberia. For someone said, and I agree, that is the only country you cannot be deported from. And so being part of the conversation, I understand, gets a little tiring, sometimes overwhelming. And I get it. But the solution to every problem must start with a discussion. What is the problem? How did we get here? What can we do? What are our options? Who should lead us? Do we have the right person? Have we agreed on a solution that works? All of these things will get us to a 50% solution of the problem, a 50% solution to the problems that we have. I'm saying this to say we should keep talking and we can never give up. The topic for today, folks, the ceaseless management nightmare at Rabat International Airport. That is our nation's international airport. The Rabat International Airport is a very historical airport in West Africa. It has the longest runway, the last time I checked, in West Africa, and if not, in the entire Africa. That airport came to be what it is now because at some point during World War II, the Americans needed a place that would be a short route to hit their target against their opponent in Japan. And so that airport was built. So if you look at the history of the airport and how it connects to the war, to America in particular, that airport should be the hub for West Africa. That airport should be the most talked about airport in Africa because of the history of it. It is connected to the most powerful country on earth. That airport served the most powerful military power in the world during the World Wars, specifically the World War II. This is a profound history that if only we have leaders who know this history for what it is and will go to capitalize on this history and remind the Americans of what that airport has done for America in its fight during the World Wars, specifically the World War II, or especially the World War II. Then, fellow Liberians, we I think will be in a much better place. But the sad reality has always been our leaders have never been popular. They have no understanding of what we have, and they have no appetite to capitalize on what we have. We Liberians, a good number of us, do not know the importance of history. History is storytelling. Some of you watch movies. If you're watching a movie, that is a history. I mean, that is a story that's been told. History is a story. Story connects people. It arms people with action. It gives people reason to believe. I'm not sure we have leaders who understand history, who have the appetite, about the lesson that history teaches and the powerful force that history carries that can be used to amass revenue for the development of the country. I don't think they know that. I thought to give you a tiny little bit of history about this airport. We should not be in this place. We should not be having these challenges. But unfortunately, we are having these challenges anyway. I know you get tired. I know some of you sometimes just turn your back. Sometimes you close your ears. And I can't fault you for it because it's too much. We have become a laughing stock among the Committee of Nations. Liberian history is so succinct. Liberian history is war history. Liberian history is African history. That nations was created as the oasis for all freedmen, men and ran to Liberia. Liberia was the beacon of hope for Africa when the fight for independence was ongoing. Some people don't recognize this country anymore because our nations has been taken for granted by these leaders who always get an opportunity to lead us. I don't know why they do that, but hey, I needed to do this, give you this piece of history to inspire you so that you will get the significance of this topic that I'm about to discuss. To this topic, fellow Liberians and friends of Liberia who are listening, the ceaseless management nightmare at Rabat International Airport, and if I may add, continues unabated. So, folks, what is the problem that we are having at our international airport? The one and only that we have. What is the problem that we are having at this airport? And why does this problem persist? Of course, we are having management problems. Of course, the leaders cannot keep the light on. In the 21st century, Liberia, that should be a modern state at this time, is running its airports on generators. I won't be surprised Liberia is the only country that has made this decision to run its airports on generators. And how long has this been? From the day this airport was open, I'm talking about this brand new terminal was open, we have been running this airport on generators. Why does it have to take our leaders this long to know that running an airport on a generator or on generators is unsustainable? How long would they get to know? Even when they got to know, what have they been able to do? Have they even brought the urgency that is needed and the seriousness that is needed to avert this nightmare? Of course not. So, folks, simply, we don't have leaders who understand their responsibilities and take those serious. We don't have them. We can't keep the light on. The most basic thing to do is to keep the lights on at the airport so that the place cannot be dark. As basic as it seems and is, our leaders are unable, they are unable, they are incapable, they are incompetent. They are incompetent, to put it right, to keep the lights on. This speaks to the gravity of the incompetence that is in every agency of government in Liberia. Can't keep the lights on at the airports, and this has to persist for this long. So the only reason this is happening is because of incompetence on a part of those who are in charge of the state. Sometimes I want to believe without doubt that they have no understanding of the significance of an airport, how it is a significant source of revenue. And that they don't know that, it baffles me. It kills anyone's spirit. These leaders are visionless. And folks, maybe we shouldn't be surprised, right? I mean, we have a president who has zero clue about what leadership is, what is required to be a leader. He appoints people who are incompetent, who don't have the requisite qualification and know-how for the task they've been assigned to execute. And even as that person continues to blunder day after day, he does not have the understanding to take action. No clue whatsoever that the safety of people, of his citizens and foreign friends and businesses are at risk. No clue. We are in trouble, fellow Liberians, to be blunt. We are in trouble. No, so what does it have to come to? Because the seriousness that is required is brought to bed. Or until a plane crashes and kills Liberians and foreign nationals, until all hell break loose? Is that what it has to come to? Before at least action is taken? Until all hell breaks loose? Before we can see leaders doing what a leader should do, right? Poor management, failure to provide electricity over and over again shows nothing except that our government is an irresponsible, heartless, incompetent government. That ineptitude is in their DNA, and the only thing they are there for is for what they get in their pockets, and they care less about what happens to the people. They don't care about their own responsibilities, for which they've been paid several thousands of dollars. And in some cases, many are getting paid millions, and they steal millions. And yet, with all that they get, they can't do the most basic thing to keep the lights on at the airport. If that doesn't scare you, if that doesn't give you a unique picture of the trouble that we are in our country at the hands of these incompetent leaders, oh, then there is nothing that will be so clear to you. Any of you, when the sound of my voice, they have traveled being on an aircraft, it has their own fear that you are 10,000 feet above sea level. And the fear and the stress that comes with even when the plane is flying safely, just with the knowledge that you are 10,000 feet above sea level is enough to fear for your life. We used to talk about that an aircraft cannot land because there is no light at an airport. That's the reason for these lights. These lights are safety measures put into place to guide the pilot to know where to land. So, what is the consequence? Or what are the consequences? You put it right here. What are the consequences for our leaders compromising the safety of citizens, friends, nationals, businesses, compromising the safety of businesses, especially airlines in this case? What are the consequences? When the leaders become so heartless and careless with their responsibilities, what happens? What are the consequences? Safety is compromised. A plane is about to land. The place is dark. The runway lights are off. The pilot does not know his position. The lights that serve as guardians to the pilot to land the plane safely are off. And so what does he do? Because he cannot recognize his position, he has to divert. Why, if that aircraft has only limited fuel or jet fuel to get to another destination where it can be refueled, chances are that flight, that plane, that aircraft risks getting crashed somewhere with several thousands of people, several hundreds of people on it, a few hundreds of people, to pull it right, on it. And so, because of safety concerns, fellow Liberians, Air Morag on February the 20th this year have to abort landing, which was risky, that had compromised the safety of the passengers, Liberians and foreign nationals alike, on the plane. They have to run to Freetown to land because we didn't have the lights on. A little over a month later, it happens again, this time on March 28th. President George Malawi, the incompetent leader and clueless leader, came close to this danger. He was coming from Dubai with his officials of government. They are gone for something they call Expo 2020 in Dubai. Basically, they went there to enjoy themselves. And they were coming back, and the airport went into darkness, fellow Liberians. President Weah came close to this danger. Yet he took zero action. He took zero action. So when it happened on February 28th, anyone would think, well, he didn't see it, so probably he didn't get a unique understanding of what the danger was. A little over a month later, March 28th, he saw it firsthand. Not that he alone saw that, along with his officials. They came close to darkness. That did not embarrass him. That did not break his conscience. He was not provoked to action. He took it lightly. Though he saw that his safety and the safety of others were compromised, anything could have happened. But where would be where? Where was just reminiscing about how he had enjoyed himself in Dubai, and for him it was okay that he has landed safely in darkness. For where knows he has light in his home, and so whether no lights at the airport, does not bother him. We are rose and boys. Fellow Liberians, a day later, on March 29, travelers were again compelled to use their cell phone lights at the airport in their search for their luggages because there was no light at the airport. They were complaining. It was chaotic. And yet, the so-called Liberian leader took zero action. And now, folks, of late, Epsom Brazil, this month, just this week, Wednesday, day before yesterday, again, Epsom Brazil was about to land about 200 feet above sea level. And there was some technicality with communication. What happens? They have to abort landing again. Again, they have to go to Sierra Leone. And later on, they had to come back. According to the airport authority, they are sorry. They lamented that there were some challenges. And that's the managing director, One Mountain Hill, speaking. This is an international airport, and we have serious challenges when it comes to running the airport. We had to buy 2 brand new generators. At times, things get bad, but what makes you a good leader is how quickly you can put things together and make it better for Mama Liberia. We have serious challenges when it comes to running the airport. It is difficult when you run the airport on generators, and each costs $47,000 just to keep the airport running. Can you listen to that? That's the managing director speaking. He's whining. He is whining. So, folks, Brazil had to turn around. People on the plane got terrified. And Air France is pulling out because of the very conditions at the airport. Air France last flight to Liberia is tomorrow, or the last day for Air France to start operation to Liberia immediately is tomorrow, April the 30th. We will be left with Brussels. And maybe Air Morada is still trying to find reason to continue. So what's going to happen is we'll have one airline that is out of the picture. So we'll have fewer airlines now flying. What's going to happen is this going to lead to a sharp increase in the prices of tickets. So folks, imagine these are professional airlines that have the experience in running airlines. They are having difficulties getting to Liberia because of the poor leadership and poor management of our airport authority there on the ground at Rabat International Airport. Every time they have to turn around because of darkness, I can just imagine if the so-called Wings of Liberia. Air Liberia that was launched disgracefully by this president and his cronies some time ago. They told us that in October of 2020, that so-called airline was going to start operation, and that it was going to lead to a drop in the prices of tickets, and that would have made flying to Liberia, and it was going to make traveling easier and affordable for Liberians. This leader, this government said that to us. It's been over a year now. That dream of a so-called airline is yet to come to fruition. Folks, just imagine for a second that this so-called Lone Star Wings of Liberia that were launched by President Weah, when they used an airplane cake and they brought a toy, a humiliating and nonsense program, how you launch an airline without the actual aircraft. They have no planes, or anyone for that matter. They have nothing in place. And the president was there with the Minister of Foreign Affairs. They had the First Lady, and they launched an aircraft using a cake, and they had Liberia's flag on that cake, fellow Liberians. And what they carried to symbolize the airline they said they were launching was a toy airplane. And President Weah stood there, and he said he was launching an airline. So folks, just imagine if they were ever serious, and even if they have gotten just a single tiny plane to run, and apparently they will have used Liberians, right? If you can't keep the lights on at the airport, can you actually run an airline? I know if they had succeeded somehow, we would have had troubles on our hands. Maybe the International Aviation Organization who have actually banned Liberia and stopped all planes from flying to Liberia. These are professional airlines with many years of experience in this business, and they are having difficulties. In our country, one, Air France is pulling out because we have incompetent leaders and who's being headed by an incompetent president who is clueless, who only cares about why he gets. These other airlines are having issues. What does it mean for this poor country, Liberia? It means that the image of our country has been dragged in the mud by this administration. It means that we are a laughing stock among our peers in West Africa. Sierra Leone, they are black people like us. They are running their airport. The lights are on. Airplanes are not aborting landing because there's no light in Sierra Leone, in Africa, in Guinea, in Mali, in other countries in Africa. Planes are landing. We are the only one among our friends who can keep the most basic thing going for us, to keep the lights on. And so passengers and Liberians, their lives are at risk all the time by this government because of a sheer incompetence or gross incompetence. Their lack of seriousness and understanding of the responsibility that they hold. So this is all we have to deal with. So folks, the image of Liberia has been dragged in the mud. We look like irresponsible people because of these people, because they represent us. Whatever they do reflects on us as a people. It reflects on our nation. They are doing our nation a disservice. They are doing Liberians a gross disservice. This is not right. This is not politics. This is about the safety of people. You put in, people's lives at risk. You are making life difficult for Liberians who want to go to their country to travel. You are driving investors away. You are denying your own government the necessary revenues that it needs to run the airport in the first place and to also support its budget. This is what you're doing. You drafted an unrealistic budget of $785 million. The airport is one of your major sources of revenue to support this unrealistic budget that you crafted. One airline pulling out, that is a drop in revenue. The terrible news will discourage Liberians from traveling, that is a drop in revenue. There might be less flights trying to Liberia now with France pulling out and with all these reports of planes aborting landing because of no license safety issue. There is a drop in the number of persons who fly to Liberia. There will be less flights going to Liberia. That is a significant drop in revenue. And that drop in revenue at the airport is a drop in revenue for the budget that you drafted. Guys, that's simple for you to understand and take it serious for that. Oh, this government has spent $2 million at the airport just on COVID. Just on COVID. If you do an estimate for the time they've been collecting this $75 to enter, $75 to depart Liberia, the government has generated over $5 million. Now, you have the managing director telling us a generator is about $47,000. So, out of the $5 million, you want to tell me you can do something with that money? Now, whether or not that money is even be accounted for is another story, folks. First information that I got, that the heads or some leader will just show up with a pickup truck or with a car and collect the money and then takes the money away. At some point, there was not a report, even as we speak, about how much money has been raised from the collection that they made from people for COVID-19. But around and over $5 million has been raised. You can't even use that money to keep the lights on? What have they done with that COVID money? They have eaten that money. And these airlines are losing revenue because of this behavior. That is the reason Air France said, but this particular route is not profitable for us. Air France is leaving. The departure of Air France will lead to the increase in the prices of tickets. Will give a sharp drop to the frequency of flights going to Liberia. So Liberians and foreign nationals and friends of Liberians and businesses and business people will be having a very difficult time traveling to Liberia. So people will travel to Liberia less frequent now, or less frequently now, and that is a significant drop in revenue. The government does not understand that. This will discourage investors. This will discourage Liberians. When a Liberian lands in Liberia, that person is either there with 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 10,000 in their pocket to spend. Some of them buy building materials. Some of them share with friends. Those friends will go in the market and buy billboard. The billboard woman makes business. She gets a couple of rides for her son. And maybe she gets some money to pay her child's school fee. This would drop significantly because of the sheer incompetence. People will no longer be safe to get on an aircraft to go to Liberia. These people are putting Liberians and foreign nationals and friends of Liberia through meaningless difficulties. Playing with people's life. When and if it comes to a point where Liberia is cut off or that airport is banned, a Liberian will have to go to Sierra Leone now, right? Imagine how that feels. You have to go to Sierra Leone. After paying for your plane ticket, now you have to probably get on a transportation plane, or maybe you have to charter, not plane, but car. You have to charter a car, maybe from Freetown to get to Liberia through Bo-Wallasa. Imagine how much money you will have to spend just to get to your own country. What will encourage you to go back again? Or you have to go to Ivory Coast and take a car to drive through the mall, and the roads are bad anyway. Or you have to go to Guinea and take a car, and the roads are bad also. This is what it will have to come to. If this problem is not resolved, if this government does not take its responsibility serious, if it does not take its responsibility serious, this will kill the so-called momentum that, I don't know, should I say that was generated from the poorly organized, executed, poorly planned bicentennial. The goal of the bicentennial was to spark this desire and need for tourism in Liberia. Liberia is strategically positioned for tourism. Liberia historically is rich for tourism. And so that was the idea of the bicentennial. Whether it generated any significant momentum is another thing that we can talk about another day. But it was done. I've once said you have to start from somewhere. Some people went. Some people talk about it. They came back. And chances are that some people will want to go and see this Liberia. And when they turn on the news, if they go to the newspapers, all they will read now is planes are turning back, aborting landing because there's no lights at the airport. Something that compromising their safety. Who want to get on the airplane, knowing that that airplane stands a chance of running into trouble because of no lights at the airport? Why would the person even want to think about it? So you see, this is the impact. These are the consequences. Businesses at the airport now are being impacted because when the frequency of people traveling and using the airport is on an upward spiral or consistent, while they are at the airport, they shop, they buy from businesses there. But when some airlines are pulling out, the businesses will get impacted. They will start making less money. They may not be able to pay their employees. The very airport employees have protested some other time. They even threatened that no plane will come to the airport if they are not paid. Even paying employees is a challenge. Where are we going? So there are some businesses that transport their goods through the airport. Now, all that will slow down and will have a serious impact on the economy in Liberia. Despite all these consequences, these risks, the potential As a result of this incompetence, this sheer demonstration of irresponsibility on the part of the airport, President Weah has taken zero action. Zero. He has failed repeatedly to hold these people accountable. And what is the airport leadership, or what is the government doing in particular? They say they are funding $23 to $24 million to solve the problem. You didn't know that there was a problem? Now TWA is telling us, well, it is not sustainable in the 21st century to run an airport on generators. Mr. Unconventional means. Mr. Map Up in Chief. After you say your government is raising record-breaking revenues. So how come now it has become a challenge to raise the $24 million? They say they're finding it. They don't have it. They are finding it. They don't have it. This very government cannot find $9 million to pay the West African power pool, a reliable power that is available. Just to take it to the airport is a challenge. Our government might be looking up to foreigners to help us. Just as Koji told us, the city is dirty because we can't get money from foreigners. I'm very sure our government is hoping that foreigners will come and help us to pay that $9 million to the West African power pool so that we can get reliable electricity. We have electricity in the country, but the government cannot afford to pay for it. But yet the president gets a $5.9 million budget. Yet my guest is distributing millions across the country in the need of scholarship. Yet the government is not getting a priority in place. This government took $2.7 million from the National Port Authority and the Maritime Authority to build a sport complex. And not sport complex, but a sport park. And what was the whole goal of this sport park? It was more so to exhibit President Weah. So they built this so-called sport park that is not going to generate sufficient revenue. The airport that is a proven source of revenue has been literally abandoned. Why couldn't use that $2.7 million to add or bring the West African power pool to the to the airport, so that reliable electricity can be provided at that airport, so that people will have reason to continue to travel through the airport and not be discouraged because there's no lights at the airport, so that people's life will not be put at risk. The safety of the airport operation will not be compromised. Why not do that? But President Weah made that decision. The government made that decision because for them it was more important to retire President Weah boots. So at this so-called sport park, invincible sport park, his boots, his jersey he played with when he was with Monaco, his jersey from Chelsea, his jersey from just about every team he played for. You go there, you will find it. And he invited his friends to come and see that he's retiring his boots. I'm very sure President Weah and the government shoulder the responsibility of those former stars that he invited. I mean, government inviting people, you think the government not going to pay their way? There's no reason to doubt that this government, Weah, I know, inviting his friends, Mr. Morale in chief, he wanted to boost the morale again. I'm sure there's no reason to doubt This government were responsible for their tickets, for their hotels, for their feeding, and some kind of item 19. I know this, brother. To come and see his boots, his jersey. Why he's president, those things he retired must be in the picture. It was all about we are. They spend that $2.7 million. Don't get me wrong. We do need lots of parks in Liberia. But something must be more important at a particular point in time. And there is one of those things that should be taken serious and very important at this time should be the airport. It is a significant source of revenue. When it is as risk as it is, it puts people's life in danger. They are playing with people's lives. So the government is just they are begging. That's why they are begging. If the government said they are trying to beg, they are hoping. How do I please the U.S. ambassador, a few other ambassadors from other countries in our country, they went to the airport and they were doing an inspection of the airport. Now they came to realize that even the airport control tower, it has just one way to it. Not even an elevator. It's a little step that you have to turn to go up there. No escape route. If that thing, for some reason, God forbid, if fire is to somehow erupt in that place, there'll be no escape for the personnel. This is the government we have. Unfortunately, this is the government we have. So as I was saying, they carry these ambassadors. The foreign minister was there. We are begging foreigners to help us run our airport. The airport was built predominantly with foreigners' money. My understanding is that the Chinese had they gave most of the money that built that airport. So foreigners help us to build the airport. The least we can do is to run it and keep the lights on. We can't even do it. Why take foreigners at your airport to inspect your airport? Is that the responsibility of ambassadors to go and inspect your airport to do what? It is the airport authority's responsibility to run the airport efficiently. But because our people, they don't respect themselves, they agree to take foreigners, ambassadors. These people are representing their nation's interests in our country. It is not their place to go and tell you how to run your airport. So the idea that they have to take these people there was just to beg them for money. Amen. Folks, are you seeing the picture I'm painting? Our leaders can run the airport, they're carrying foreigners to go and inspect as though they are experts for airport management. They go there just to beg them for money. And here's the problem we're having. Come and help us. That is what it was. Sinful, right? Embarrassing, right? But our leaders don't see it that way. They saw it as a way of showing their competence. And now they are incompetent. That's how they saw it. But I can bring it to you that it was a display of their incompetence. This is why our leaders don't have respect This is why our country is not respect. It is not done like that. It's 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 not done like that in Bamako. It's not done like that in Bantu, the Gambia. Well, you can't do that. Foreigners of the world is better at that. Well, so what can this government, the $100,000 to give to do? I think black people are the world. Up to now, they can get a tell us what I'm having to do. You gave me $100,000 to do that. At least give some people to what just and yet you have your airport manager crying that well, we're using generators. What the people in America need money for? For what? For what? So what can this government possibly do to solve this? Option number one is to pay the rest of the power to that people without the just as you put pay that money to the power to people can we do that? And another option to show those with the expertise in this, let's not focus on Nigeria for or near. He is an energy economist and energy expert. And I asked him, Dr. Neil, what can we do now? What is our best option given what we have? He said, absolutely simple. Solar. Solar. Build a solar grid at the airport. Liberia, even the rainy season, the sunshine. And you will have reliable electricity at the airport. It's efficient. It does not pollute the environment. It is very easy to manage. That's why he said, do that. This is not a brand new idea. It has been around. But we have a government that have the clear spirit. Do we have the president with the urgency? Solution number three. So we talk about the West African power pool, pay the $9 million, take the cable to the airport, you have electricity, your problem solved. Then you can start dealing with the other issues. The issue of the tower and the lights on the runway, how to keep them running, and if possible, improve the runway, change the style, train people. All right, make sure you have fire trucks at the place in case of anything. There are a lot of issues there. So the West African power pool can be an option. Solar can be the most immediate thing you can do right now. Then also Firestone is right there, folks. Firestone is right by the airport. Firestone has consistent, uninterrupted, reliable electricity. How is Firestone doing it? Firestone is being managed by white people. Can you negotiate with Firestone on a deal so that they can extend their cable to the airport? Send these people they are incompetent. The idea of providing power to the airport now will be out of their hands. Maybe now they can focus more on their steering, right? Can that be done so at least we can have light? Is that not a good option to look into? Go and reach a deal with Firestone. At some of these airports, or most airports in America where I live, I know for a fact that these airports, private institutions are providing electricity so that the airport authority can focus on something else. I know, for example, the terminal where I work, we have a huge solar grid on top of the parking lot that provides electricity for the airport. We can do that too. Folks, that is all I have for you. You know, this story is so serious that it's like taking my my energy out of me, because I can't get it. I can't get it. I can't get this, that we are experiencing this huge problem. The person says, gave him the management everyone, airlines and businesses, it's costing them to lose money. The very airport is losing money. And the person doesn't have the house to see. You are told he has that no account. He does not even have the account. So, you know, but folks, in other news, I got two news stories that I'm going to add to the presentation, different from this airport. I will take a short break, and when I come back, wait for me. And let me give you a gist before I take my break. The National Election Boss have been cleared of criminal charges, and Vice President Joseph Yimam talks tough. Walker has given a definite statement. Is he a threat? Can he get in trouble for that statement? Is he right for the statement he has issued? Mr. Walker said, and I quote, "No Unity Party candidate, no by-election in Lofa County." Is Mr. Walker trying to man up? A short break, and I'll be coming back to break that for you. Don't go anywhere.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
So let me bring you two stories. Other news, folks. The boss of the National Election Commission, Madam Liberia, has been cleared of all loss of the water to 20% official what the thermometer cost was around 153,000. And those things actually should not have been rented. They could buy them, but they chose to rent them from her brother's business. And the actual cost for those things were around $56,000, about that. But she spent $182,000. So basically, the Liberian government was being robbed. On the Code of Ethics law, you can't do that. So the Code of Conduct law, right? You can't do that. The Code of Conduct of 2017. So the LACC have found liable of wrongdoing, and that she violated that, and that she also violated the law creating the PPCC, and that she had also violated the law or the act creating the Liberian Anti-Corruption Commission. And so they have made a recommendation to President Weah that President Weah should fire her from her job because of the violation that had gone on. And so she needed to go to court, but then she secured a bond. What has happened is unbelievable. It was clear this woman was in the wrong. But just yesterday, Judge Sieh has dismissed the criminal indictment against the chairperson of the National Elections Commission without looking into the merit and demerit of the case. The judge granted a motion from David Etta Brown Lasana's lawyers to dismiss the indictment on grounds that the Liberian Anti-Corruption Commission violated the National Code of Conduct of 2014 when it took upon itself the functions to investigate violators of the law as provided for in section 12.2. So this is on legal technicality. And so as I speak to you, it's more so like she's a free man, so she sits on a commission. Now, the other news is the CPP now, meaning the Liberty Party and the ANC, that is the Alternative National Congress, have filed a complaint with the National Election Commission that Unity Party withdrew from the CPP, and the CPP constitution or contract is clear that when a constituent member withdraws from the CPP, that particular party cannot be a candidate, and that Unity Party was in violation of that contract for attempting to be a candidate. The hearing officers went into the case, brought the parties, listening to all the argument, and the decision was that the Unity Party could not be a candidate, even though it said it didn't have the authority to make a decision, but it actually made a decision. Unity Party candidate is now on the ticket. Because of that, Mr. Bwaka, former vice president of the Republic of Liberia, he is from Lofa. And we all know Lofa County was earlier denied the seat that, Brandon J. Samonka won as a Unity Party candidate on grounds that Brandon Samonka, had some legal disability. He was being accused of eating AFM money, and he needed to pay the money. He failed, so he was found guilty by the court, by the Supreme Court. That rendered him legally Us, right? They could not pay. President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who had given the instruction to Samukai, she played dumb. She was quiet. Samukai paid a price. The people of Lofa got denied representation. So Comrade Bwaka is looking at it, he said, no, this time it's not going to work. If the United Party candidate is not on that ballot, there will be no by-election in Lofa County. Bwaka is talking tough. Is he right? Does he have a point? Only the court can decide, because this thing borders on constitutionality. But for Bwaka to issue a threat means that he is saying the constitutional mandate given to the National Election Commission to conduct an election, he is showing his face to stop that constitutional mandate from being executed by the election ballot in Liberia. This is a challenge to a constitutional mandate. This is a challenge to the country. Can Mr. Bwaka, or will Mr. Bwaka get in trouble? Is he right to issue this threat? Can he be cited for this threat? Just as others were cited because they said something. You remember the other day when Mo Ali said something, the government tried to invite him. You remember when Menipaka Domuye talked about AK-47, he was invited. And many other persons the government said they wanted to bring in. Unze Kamara purportedly, it was alleged that he said something and the government wanted him. And this is Mr. Bwaka with this threat that if United Party candidate is not on that ticket, there will not be no by-election in Liberia. No by-election will be held. It is a threat because the people of Lofa can stand against this constitutional mandate. We will have chaos on our hands. What can we use the court? Now, on the flip side, it's illegal, constitutionally speaking, for a Liberian to be denied their right to participate in the democratic process because of a contract. Can a man contract deny one's their right to participate in an election? And if that is not right, does Mr. Bwaka have an argument here? But even if he has an argument, is the right thing to do is to halt a democratic process, to prevent it, to obstruct a constitutional mandate? Is that the right thing to do? The legal minds will decide. The media guy like me will report. The media guy like me will give the analysis, will give you the two sides of the issue. And so those are the two other stories I do have for the business. I want to say thank you so very much. I always joking me for saying thank you very much. And so thank you so very much for staying with me here at this broadcast. I will read through of your comments. And after after reading through of the comments, I will be able to give you a succinct closing that will be powerful. You should wait for that. James Double. Now you're sounding better now. Let's hear from Smith Dawia. Ansony, please do an in-depth discussion on Article 61 of the Liberian Constitution. Thanks. I will see if I can find time to look into that. This is another presentation. Thank you for your recommendation. Mianta Stella Herring. Let me get this woman right. She always on my back, and I love her for that. Yes, you do know. The problem is you and every Liberian in denial. You're turning a blind eye and a dead ear to the truth. Here is the truth. Here is the truth. Liberia's problem is not politics. Liberia's problem is illiteracy, she writes. Let's hear from Ire Gundler. The investments were so huge to have that airport on generator, and folks who are there to have been poorly managing the airport because up to date they yet to change the generator to a better solar system or connect on an electric grid, I think he meant to say. Sad. Mianta again, until Liberia accepts and acknowledges the truth, you will keep on talking like you are right now. Baffled? Give me a break. You know he does not have the clue. This tough talking you're doing is a bluff. I don't know what Mianta is up to here. The problem at RIA will seriously affect the price of tickets and fees associated with ordinary travel. A serious economic situation for the people of Liberia. Very corrupt and limited tickets in government. I think it's really boils down to corruption and not so much of the problem. I now believe when they say it's your time, simply means everyone should take what they can because they are sure of not staying in power next year. Well, we will see whether they will not stay in power. Opposition is other sides. The empire is basically I'm laughing to keep from crying. Everything is not anyone's DNA. So stop this nonsensical talk. Education is learned behavior. And that is from God. We must not have some love for today. We know that already. Tell us something we don't know. Stop this bluff talk. Mianta, if you know, I don't think everybody knows. Even if everybody knows, it's worth to highlight the issue. You are right. That is done to focus on Liberia reported in Liberia. Let me continue with Mianta, who is basic. Go tell this before bigger shame. Go tell him this before bigger shame. Let him accept the small shame and step down and don't wait until 2023 because he has totally turned his employees, the masses of the Liberian people, against him. Well, the last time I checked in a democracy, we wait for election. Is the president right to resign? You think president, we are going to resign when he's enjoying or living his best life ever, Mianta? My sister, you must be joking. Aviation authorities said it was alleged or a rumor, incompetence to the highest order. Yeah, that's what they said. They said it was just a little glitch. You know, things are running smoothly. The masses are too elected to understand yet, unfortunately. The masses are not too elected to understand that when there's no life at the airport is a problem. They are educated to go there. But they don't have life in the road. Professional must have professional office to keep this person. So now that Liberia has continues to be embarrassed, she humiliated, disgraced, gone because we have nothing to tell us to do. You don't have to tell people, go, go, go. I said, "Why?" Nigerians are very good at quoting others, African countries, as if they are free of problems and that they are paradise on earth. It is laughable. It is not laughable to look at others if they are doing it better. It is a fact that in Ghana, lights are not going on at the airport. It is a fact that in Africa, lights are not going off at the airport. It is a fact that in Freetown, lights are not going off at the airport. If that were so, these planes that are butter learning will not go to Freetown anyway. So to say that is to just find something to say. What do you want us to do? Everybody has problem. Even America does have its own problem, but the lights are on, right? Is it not true? America has problem, but the lights are on. They don't have problem with keeping the lights on. Sierra Leone does not have problem with keeping the lights on at the airport. So stop saying that. Some people just don't know what to say. They just want to be heard, and I love that. At least I've heard you now, just as you have heard me, right? This whole electricity not in Liberia and the airport is really sad and embarrassing. Definitely it is. Joseph Paul, look, Brother Sieh, Air France left Liberia because their mission in Mali was over and not the government of Liberia was incompetent. My brother, that was one of the reasons that Air France gave. You want to tell me Air France cannot go to Liberia and avoid Mali? Air France can decide not to go to Mali and decide to go to Liberia. Did you read the entire statement? And they can choose not to tell you something bad. Because airline, they try to be a little more diplomatic. You don't want to tell the airline, you don't want to tell the country that that airport is not safe for our friends. You don't want to say that because they don't want to discourage others. What they do, they will hamper the country. So they can be a little more diplomatic. Say, well, you know, Mali is having issues, so we have to like it. What is the connection? Mali after like it. Do you see any connection? The airline can decide that for France to fly to like it. If the route from Air France to Liberia was profitable, if they were feeding more people safe and secure, they'll stay there. The issue is with Mali, right? So just stop going to Mali and go to Liberia. Or if Mali is the problem, you can pick up another ride in Sierra Leone or Africa. Yes, pay for Mali. You think they're not able to do that? When people make statement, we go beyond the statement. The airline industry, I have been working in the airline industry for over 10 years now. I know the industry better than you, and I can tell you any day. Sierra Leone have lots of beaches and good roads that you don't need to leave to get in Liberia, where the leaders are not serious. That is true. Marie Pade, that's the impact of incompetency. She's going Satya, and I love that. Let's hear from PK Dempster. Liberia needs to gain independence again. Eva Sa, but wait, they finished the airports and knew it was running on generators? Yes, they knew that. Royal Smith, Mr. Sieh, just stop because Joshua is not competent. So why you want him to do something differently? Because he's the president, right? Sadly, so he is. But we are building paths. Make it make sense. Marie Pade again, money is not good for black men. Don't turn it off. Let me leave that one. Folks, take your time to write your comments. I want to read them. If you were not here, I would not be here. If they find the 23 million, trust me, it will end up in individuals' pockets. That's what happened when people have consistently demonstrated sheer incompetence and thievery. The people don't trust you because this is what you've shown. Don't forget his wife budget. And if anybody have ever talked about Wia's wife budget, Ansony, What we have got his trademark yesterday. Why our ID was out of his legacy. President of this Eva is basically the fact is not to fight for the case, but for him, we will still love himself. So, let's see this one. Let's check the audio, please. Audio is application. So, I don't think I have the other issue here. There is no reason why they are going to foreigners. However, the reason is they are incompetent, don't have Liberian aspect of ground. That is true. They don't have Liberian aspect of ground. I mean, I think these people are trying to do the cargo handling of the airport to Jordanians when we have several hundreds of Liberians here in the United States who are working for airline. There are Liberians in the United States working for airlines, Delta, United, Southwest, just about any airline, American you can think about. Liberians are here working. Some have been working in the industry for 20 to 25 years. They have the experience when it comes to ground operation. And they were looking for Jordanians just because they don't want to empower their own people. They despise their own people. Nonsense to the highest order. Lots of comments here. Let me hear from Arthur Doe. You are having problem with the speakers. I don't know why everybody talking about this. I know some people are having problem. I hope that is not the case. I don't remember ever hearing about lights being out in the last regime. Please remind me. Lots of comments here. Folks are basically commenting, and I like that. Yes, from this person, Liberia is more harm than help for most airlines. They are just operating at a humanitarian level, and I agree more. Josh Toby writes, Joshua is incapacitated for this job. Couldn't say it right there. Yeah, from Tisa Brewer or Suba, it seemed like a contributing factor to Air France. Exactly. You know, like yeah, from Mr. Sieh, GMB released a statement, not a threat. It is interesting how you spin things most times. We will be here still learning, but we'll scrutinize the comments though. Good discussion, and I love that. You know, I will admit that I don't always get it right. I'm not like some people. I don't always get it right, but I disagree. I did not spin it. I did not spin it. JMB is still sleeping. Let him wake up and work first. Bunch of selfish, self-interest human beings. They never loved Mama Liberia, the people of Liberia. And I couldn't agree with that. They don't love Liberia. They have Liberia on their lips just for them to bore and chop like we are chopping. Look, guys, the Weah administration will not only take all the blames for the airport, because the past regime also has a role to play in this disaster at the unfolding at the airport. Let me hear from Joseph Paul again. He's basically, hello guys, the airport that was just built not less than 5 years ago, now developing a whole lot of problems. What a shame for the Salif and Bwakale administration. Well, I don't know if you want to go there. We are the Malaysian and they should be able to do better. At least Ellen built it. I would not fault Ellen. We can talk about the history though. But I mean, to just keep the light on, you're going to blame Ellen for the light? You know? Look, guys, the airport, okay, that's the same one I just read. I'm sure he repeated that. Jimmy Eastman is asking for the phone line. Let me look at my time. Jimmy, I want to read comments. I don't want to be here too long. Liberian leaders seriously lack good thinkers, for real. He writes, and I couldn't agree more. Well, folks, Jimmy, I'm not taking call. I just want to read comments. I think I took a little longer today to pull it right. Folks, this is how I'm going to close. This is how I'm going to close, folks. Leadership is a serious matter. And before I do my closing, let me bring in a little break. So, folks, this is how I close the broadcast. Leadership is a serious business. It matters. It's a big deal. When you don't get it right, you can kill a whole country. If you don't get it right, you can destroy the entire institution. And on the national level, if you don't get it right, you can destroy an entire generation. If you don't get it right, you can keep a nation stagnant for several years. Yes, leadership is important. Yes, leadership matters. Yes, leadership is consequential. Yes, leadership is significant. A leader can drive a nation to prosperity. A leader can drive a nation to development, whereas a leader can drag a nation into abject poverty. A leader can plunge a nation into complete nothingness, despair, mayhem, and mysteries, and injustices of all sorts. Yes, a leader can do that. A leader can become a dictator and become ruthless and abuse the rights of all citizens and deny people the opportunity to live a fulfilling life. Yes, a leader can do that. Oh, yes, it is well true that a leader can come to redeem a country. A leader can bear a foundation for prosperity. A leader can set the foundation for development. A nation can make a nation to rise again. For example, Thomas Sankara, he was in the 30s. He took over Burkina Faso. He was that realistic and visionary propo leader, not the one we haven't. He vaccinated his country. He planted millions of trees to prevent Burkina Faso from becoming a desert. He brought a people-centered government to the people. The people respected him. They fell in love with him. The nation Burkina Faso came together. It got on an upward trajectory. Yes. We heard about Singapore. A leader showed up. He did. And he was able to build the pillars of that nation. That nation today is an economic power in the world. The leaders who choose can decide the nation. The leaders who choose can decide to kill the nation economically, can decide to kill the nation politically. The leaders who choose, the leaders who choose, knowing and unknowingly, in the people. And your only push to become poverty, nothing, nothing, lack of economic opportunity for them. They will live like refugees in their own country. Foreigners will eat their bread. Why they go hungry? Oh yes, when you choose a leader, be careful while you are. This is the case with Nigeria. I'm not sure we got it right with Joe. I'm not sure we got it right with Joe. Whether or not we got it right with Ellen Johnson studies and me, whether or not we got it right with George Weah remains debatable. And whether or not we will get it right going forward also remains debatable. Oh yes, it remains debatable. So our history is replete with leaders who came and failed and dragged our country into poverty, subjected our country to shame, disgrace, and clouded our nation's image with that. Yes, it's exasperating. And so this election that comes 2023 will be a pivotal moment in our nation's history. We are history. Tiawan is running. Cummings is running. Waka is running. Why have we not seen a woman coming of Liberia? Why have we not seen her? Are you discouraged because Ellen let you down? Is that why? Are you discouraged because Joy is part of the problem? She dances with an incompetent and corrupt government, so you are embarrassed. Why? Where are you? You are our mother. We need leadership. Maybe you can give us some, for I am not sure of the thing. They have always been. They have always been. Well, even we have left with this thing. We have to choose. Should we choose him because he has an impeccable record? Should we choose him because he's down to earth? Should we choose him because he knows this country? Should we choose him because he's honest? He has integrity. Should we choose him because he does not have any history of corruption? And will he be up to the task? And will he deliver us? And will he lead us to somewhere instead of nowhere? Does he even have the ability to build a team? Because at the end of the day, it's about winning before we even talk about the leadership. Or should we stay with the devil that we know and now the angel we have not seen? Should we stay where we are? An incompetent leader, a mute leader, a leader who takes no responsibility, a leader who enjoys the purse of the president, a leader who pause and rose and celebrates himself, a leader who takes care of himself, who dresses so immaculately, elegantly, for your own celebration. A leader who possesses zero quality or a zero quality of a leader who has no purpose except that he is concerned for his own benefit and academics, who gets the biggest budgets in our nation's history and will not forget about his wife, who also gets the biggest budget in our nation's history. Or a corporate guy who we are told is a decent family man, and I agree he definitely is. But does he have the gravitas? Does he have the wherewithal? Does he have the ability to win? Does he have the needed, proven, robust, and solid leadership, political leadership that is needed to lead a transformative Liberia? Does he have it? I don't know. All we hear is Mr. Clean Hands. All we hear is you can't be doing the same thing over and over. And all we hear is corporate executive skills. Whoever wins, whoever loses, whoever accepts defeat, whoever refuses to accept defeat, for one more life. The song says we are all Liberians. That is the song that's always. I said that a focus on Liberia, but you can also call me Sieh or Sieh. Thank you for watching. I love you all. The song, we are all Liberians, is taking us on, and bye-bye.
We are Liberians.